Alexander the Great, the undefeated conqueror, Alexander III of Macedon, known as Alexander the Great or Sikander in Persian and South Asian traditions, remains one of history's most remarkable military commanders. Born in 356 BCE in Pella, Macedonia, he died at just 32 years old in 323 BCE. Yet in his short life, he created one of the largest empires the ancient world had ever seen, stretching from Greece to northwestern India. Most extraordinarily, he accomplished this without losing a single major battle. Understanding why Alexander never lost requires examining his military genius, the army he inherited, his strategic innovations, and the context of his campaigns. Subscribe channel, like, and comment video! His meeting with Indian philosophers and his respect for Porus after defeating him became part of his mythological status as a noble warrior king. Alexander's unblemished military record resulted from a perfect storm of inherited advantages, personal genius, tactical innovation, inspirational leadership, and strategic vision, making him truly deserving of the title the Great. Legacy and context. Alexander's undefeated record must be understood in context. He fought against enemies who often had numerical superiority, but inferior training, coordination, and leadership. The Persian Empire, while vast, was weakened by internal divisions. Many of his opponents were not professional soldiers, but levied troops. Alexander's Macedonian veterans, by contrast, were highly trained professionals with superior equipment and discipline. Nevertheless, his achievement remains extraordinary. Military history is filled with seemingly invincible commanders who eventually met defeat: Hannibal, Napoleon, and countless others. That Alexander died undefeated in battle at age 32 adds to his legend, leaving us to wonder what he might have achieved with more time. In South Asian tradition, where he is remembered as Sikander, his invasion left lasting cultural impacts and inspired countless stories, poems, and legends. The limits of invincibility. While Alexander never lost a battle, his conquests had limits. At the Bays River in India in 326 BCE, his exhausted army refused to march further east. They had been campaigning for 8 years, were thousands of miles from home, and faced rumors of even larger Indian armies ahead. Alexander reportedly wept in frustration, but even he couldn't force his men to continue. This wasn't a military defeat, but it marked the end of his eastern expansion. His sieges, while ultimately successful, were costly. The siege of Tyre in 332 BCE took 7 months and required building a causeway to the island city. The siege of the Sogdian Rock required innovative mountaineering tactics. These operations showed that while Alexander could overcome any obstacle, some victories came at significant cost in time and lives. He also understood psychological warfare. Before battles, he would sacrifice to the gods, consult omens, and display confidence that inspired his troops while unnerving enemies. His reputation preceded him, and many cities surrendered without fighting, rather than face the unstoppable Macedonian army. Alexander was generous with rewards, distributing plunder liberally and honoring brave soldiers publicly. His adaptability was equally impressive. When facing the Indian king Porus at the Battle of Hydaspes in 326 BCE, Alexander confronted war elephants for the first time on a large scale. Rather than being intimidated, he studied their weaknesses, used feints and diversions to cross the swollen Hydaspes River, and employed tactics specifically designed to neutralize the elephants. His victory against this unfamiliar threat demonstrated his capacity to innovate in real time. Leadership and morale. Alexander led from the front, literally. He personally charged into battle with his cavalry, suffered multiple wounds throughout his campaigns, and shared hardships with his men. This wasn't mere bravado, it was calculated leadership that inspired fanatical loyalty. When his soldiers saw their king risking his life beside them, tactical brilliance, extraordinary Alexander's battlefield tactics were revolutionary. He perfected the combined arms approach, coordinating infantry, cavalry, and light troops in ways his enemies couldn't match. His signature move was the hammer and anvil tactic. The phalanx would fix the enemy in place like an anvil, while Alexander personally led his elite companion cavalry in a devastating charge at a critical point in the enemy line, acting as the hammer. This simple but effective strategy won him battles from Granicus to Gaugamela. At the Battle of Issus in 333 BCE, facing the Persian Emperor Darius III with a numerically superior force, Alexander spotted a gap in the Persian lines and personally led a cavalry charge directly at Darius himself. The Persian emperor fled, causing his entire army to collapse. This audacious move exemplified Alexander's ability to identify and exploit weaknesses under the chaos of battle. In Persian BCE, yet created one of the largest empires the ancient had ever seen, stretching from Greece to northwest India. Most extraordinarily accomplished without low-sin battle. And why Alexander requires exami military genius. The army he inherited, his stat innovations, and the context C. Beyond military resources, Alexander received an exceptional education. His tutor was the philosopher Aristotle, who instilled in him a love of learning Greek culture and strategic thinking. Alexander studied Homer's Iliad obsessively, identifying with the hero Achilles and sleeping with a copy under his pillow. This combination of practical military training and intellectual cultivation created a commander who could think both tactically and strategically.